Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the People's Republic of China. It's the final round, round 18 of the FIM Motocross World Championship. And this is the Just1 Helmets MXGP of China, presented by Huhui Investment Group. My name's Paul Malin, alongside me, Jason Thomas from Fly Racing. We're here all weekend. One down, 3 to go. MXGP Race 1 coming up next, 30 minutes plus 2 laps. Here we are, pretty much close to the south coast, about an hour south of Shanghai. Beautiful part of the world, that as well. All big, bright city and all lit up. Looks fantastic and amazing. Everybody that's been there this week knows exactly what we're talking about. But we're just a little bit further south, a little bit more breezy, out of the city. Fantastic location here for the first time. That opera house there is where we all were last night for the Shanghai Philharmonic Orchestra. Something a little bit different for the MXGP paddock to get their head around. But that was just about 20 minutes up the road from here. Great night as well. Played a lot of orchestral classics, Star Wars in there as well, you know, of George Lucas and whatever else. But here we are, final round. MXGP Race 1 getting ready for qualifying. Fantastic location here, great track, first time, inaugural Grand Prix here in this part of the world. 29 degrees, although the sun has disappeared behind the clouds, thankfully. I'm not saying it was hot yesterday, but I have been in colder saunas.
It was definitely warm. Even just a couple of degrees cooler today is making a big difference already.
Well, 1,620 meters long. The racetrack here, a mixture between sand and dirt. Quite grabby in places, quite heavy and loamy as well. So a real challenge for the riders. Not as rough as it could have been, obviously, without the European Championship riders on the racetrack this weekend. But it's very, very deep in parts. And if they keep those lines from now until the end of the day, then obviously it's definitely going to give the riders something to think about. To kick things off here, we had the official opening ceremony. Various dignitaries and members and governors and FIM officials took to the stage on the top of the skybox just behind the start line area as they welcomed everybody here to this inaugural round here in the People's Republic of China.
It's an honor for me.
Mr. Jorge Villegas, the FIM president, great to see him. Not seen him around for a few weeks, but very, very busy man these days. And of course, the Secretary of CPC, Feng Shan. Of course, Feng Shan is where we are this weekend. And great to have the assistance from everybody involved in putting this race on. And but with all that said and done, we just had MX2 Race 1 just a few moments ago. Nice to see that breeze blowing around. That's going to help the riders as they chill before their race after their sighting lap, of course. It's all gone quiet over there. They enjoyed the first race. Nice roar of the crowd as they welcome the MX2 riders past there for the first time. Anyway, let's check in with Tim Gajser, shall we?
Before the season, I made some changes. They were positive. When we started the season, I felt that I was really close to 100%. You know, I couldn't wait that season start. Yeah, in Matali was like one of my favorite tracks, so I was really looking forward to going there. First one, I was behind Tony and then make a quick pass on him, and then I had a big crash. The bike was completely bent. I finished like third. I was really disappointed because I know I had the speed to win. Arco is always something special. The fans, they made sport, you know, different.
Go to Gajser! We're cheering for you!
It was super important to get that first win. That race, I really start to believe that I can go out there and even fight for the title. It was the turning point of the season. Yeah, Mantua, let's say the toughest one this season. I think I had in both motos the fastest lap of the race, but I couldn't make a pass. It was one main line. The bike just stopped and I went over the handlebar. The gap was like getting bigger and bigger. It was 40 points, so that's nearly almost 1 GP. 3 weeks after, we were in Russia and we had a red plate. Latvia, I didn't really know that I won the GP because, you know, with the 6-1, it's like you need a luck to win the GP, you know. But I was super happy to win another one. I didn't saw Tony's crash, but I saw the video, and it was like big crash. He was the biggest driver this year. You never wish to someone to get injured. Tony was the only guy till then that we had a nice battles, you know, our pace were really high. It's definitely a shame that from then on he had to miss the GPs and he was not on the races. Coming to Lommel, I kind of like always prepare myself mentally to go there. You know, winning the GP was fantastic. When you win in Lommel, it means something. So I was super happy, and especially like because in the past I was always struggling in the sand. Imola, when I wake up on Sunday morning, I was tired because like I didn't sleep a lot, and I know that is one of the most important days of my life. I was quite aggressive in the beginning. I tried to come in the lead as soon as possible, make a couple of mistakes, even fell. I managed to make a couple of passes to come on the 5th place. When I finished the line, it was like another dreams came true. Already really looking forward to 2020. Many names, I mean, really good riders gonna line up in MXGP class, and I think we're gonna have exciting races and really interesting.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you very much.
So an insight into the season of Tim Gajser. Why, Iman, Ash Kane in the middle there, AK-47. Former racer from the past, of course. Anyway, riders are in from their sighting lap. They've already seen the
Okay, we're
racetrack.
almost ready for the first MXGP race of the day. I'm just on the start grid, and I want to grab a word with Louis Foster's team manager from Wilvo Yamaha MXGP team. Wilvo, really just to get an update on Arno. We saw him crash out yesterday in the qualifying race. How is he?
Yes, he crashed yesterday in the qualifying race, and afterwards we went to the hospital for some checks. But at the moment it looks that there's some small problem with his hand or with his wrist, but it's not that bad. So, yeah, it's okay.
Well, that's good to know. While I have you here on the grid, I just want to get an opinion of you. For the team, Arno, you've got Gautier as well. He's fighting for that 3rd place in that championship. How's the team gone this year? Are you happy with the progress?
Yes, I'm really happy. Actually, this year we had 10 podiums overall with these 2 riders. So it would be nice that we can keep the 3rd place with Gautier today. So important day for us.
Yeah. Well, best of luck to you and the team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to speak to our poleman, Glenn Coldenhoff. Glenn, just about the standings, really. You're currently 4th in the championship standings. Gautier is in 3rd, but you've had a really good run of form at the moment. I guess your aim and Gautier's is the same today.
Yeah, sure. You know, it's going to be a big fight. I think I'm 11 points down, so it's going to be quite difficult. But as you said, you know, I'm in good form, and it's going to be a tough one, but I'm going to give it all, and we'll see where we end up. You know, even a 4th place for me is really good.
I mean, you said it's going to be a tough one. If we look at the conditions today and compare them to yesterday, it's not as hot. It's a bit of a breeze in the air. Is it going to be as tough out there with that weather?
The weather is a little bit better, but it's kind of maybe it started raining. You know, I feel some drops already, so it could be interesting.
Okay, well, better luck. Thanks, Glenn. Good luck to Glenn and all the guys here. It's time for the first MXGP race of the day.
As we know, the riders have been out on their sighting lap, and they are now back in. Before we go any further, though, let's take a quick look at the championship standings coming into this first race at the final round, round 18. At the Just1 Helmets MXGP of China, presented by Huhui Investment Group. Tim Gajser already declared world champion. Jeremy Seewer almost guaranteed 2nd. He's 43 points ahead of Gautier Paulin, but he's only 11 clear of Glenn Coldenhoff, who we just heard from a moment ago. Arno Tonus out for this weekend, hopefully not the Motocross of Nations. He's in 5th. He's 34 clear of Paul Jonas. It is possible that Jonas overhauls Arno Tonus for that 5th place if he has 2 solid rides today, but Let's take one race at a time, shall we? But Jonas looked very good yesterday in the qualifying race. We'll see that coming up in just a few moments' time. So there's the rest of the riders in the championship. Anyway, here's what happened in the MXGP qualifying race yesterday afternoon here in China. Gate dropped. That long drag towards the first turn in what was a deep, loamy start straight. Gajser up on the pegs and then down behind the handlebars. The team HRC, Jasikonis tried to shift across as well, but was just out-dragged by Seewer. Seewer ran wide though. See how heavy that first corner is. Gajser emerged first. Coldenhoff eventually emerged second, as Herlings got parked back to about 5th, 6th place. 7th actually later on in the lap. On board here with the GoPro with Ivo Monticelli, standing construct KTM. Just tucking in behind Paul Jonas, give him a bit of an elbow there. This was Coldenhoff moving up into second with that move on Jeremy Seewer. Jasikonis came out of that turn at about 5th. This is Gauthier Paulin. Just behind his teammate, Arno Tonis and Jeremy Van Horebeke in white. Didn't make a great start. Was around about 9th place on the opening lap. See how tricky the racetrack was yesterday. Nice and deep and rutty and gnarly in places. A little bit cleaner today, but Monticelli in that battle there. And Jeffrey Herlings just trying to pick his way through the field. Was not on form yesterday. Actually, on one of his social posts said struggled with the conditions yesterday, but he did set the fastest lap on the final lap.
He did. He finally found form, and then in the warm-up this morning, he was great again.
Gajser fell once from the lead and twice a little bit later on, and eventually he put himself up to 11th position, just ahead of his teammate Brian Bogers. Gajser was your new race leader. Jasikonis was right there behind him in second. Seewer was third, and then he was starting to get caught certainly by Paul Jonas as the battle for the lead closed up. AJ was looking good yesterday.
He was, yeah. I actually thought he might get up in pressure for the lead here, but yeah, it's great to see AJ at the front.
Then it looked like Coldenhoff had things covered. AJ started to slip back into the clutches of the number 91 of Jeremy Seewer. Seewer got onto the rear wheel of the Husqvarna rider because he could sense the danger from Paul Jonas, but he always did enough. But it was Glenn Coldenhoff for the second time this year, the qualifying race win. Jasikonis and Seewer, your top three. And let's take a look at the top 5 in the championship then, coming into MXGP Race 1, of course. Gajser has already won the championship. Seewer, as we said, already almost guaranteed second. Paulin is third. Coldenhoff 4th, Tonis 5th. We're looking at that battle between Paulin and Coldenhoff today. And just outside the top 5, of course, Paul Jonas, 34 points. It's not impossible, it's still mathematical. Tonis will be keeping his fingers crossed wherever he is today that he manages to hold on to that top 5 place. So that was it, MXGP qualifying race from yesterday. Here's how they line up then as a result of that. And Glenn Coldenhoff on pole for the second time this season. Back-to-back qualifying race wins now. Turkey last week and now here. And what can he do from there? And Jason Thomas, Fly Racing, do you imagine that Glenn Coldenhoff will go to gate number 1 down the left side as we look, right as he's lining up?
Absolutely, yes. There's so much room to the left, and you can just see it to the left of the standings there. All that room. If he gets squeezed, he doesn't have to let off. So yeah, it's a no-brainer.
There he is, standing construct KTM. Boss Tim Matthijs is here this weekend. Saw him briefly bombing his way through the paddock yesterday. So he's expecting a big weekend, you would imagine. He's not coming all this way for nothing.
Yeah, of
he
course.
wants that 3rd place.
Yeah, they want to win the race first and then hopefully wrap up, 3rd in the championship. But I want to see if this guy right here can pull that jump out he was doing yesterday. That was such a cool jump, and it's a lot faster too. So
yeah, second.
Reckon if anybody else will jump it too, it's definitely a time saver. So.
Right, green flag at the back. Mr. Ingo Parcher, FIM race director, signals the Fly Racing 15-second board to go up for the first time this weekend for the MXGP main event. 30 minutes plus 2 laps to go in this Just1 MXGP of China, presented by Huhui Investment Group. The gate about to drop now. Who will it be that grabs that foxhole shot? Coldenhoff is well positioned up the inside, and it might be him, but Gajser is going to run it wide. But we've seen how many guys go wide there and don't pull it off. He comes out well in second, though. Wow, it's a long way round. Well, Coldenhoff with the foxhole shot. Gajser aggressive at the inside of Seewer into second.
Similar start to yesterday. Jeffrey buried top 3 out front, so we'll see if Jeffrey can find a little bit more early lap pace than he had yesterday.
So Coldenhoff with his 4th Foxhole shot of the season, then with that one in race 1. Seewer there in 2nd. Herlings up into 4th place behind Tim Gajser. As they head through those 2 rollers and then that stretch of a double, that step down, and he's already into 3rd place. Well, he definitely said he's going to be ready for today.
Quick moves. Yesterday he was doing the exact opposite of this, but look at Tim fight back.
Well, you wouldn't expect anything more, would you?
Would not. Both of these guys, championship's over, but bragging rights are very powerful going into 2020.
The 2 Rockstar Energy Husqvarnas there of Pauls Jonas and Arminas Jasikonis just sitting behind him in 5th and 6th place. Gauthier Paulin was there briefly at the first split, but it looks like he's been passed by. Oh, and who's that? One of the local boys, Lian Sang Deng. Looks like he just got cross-rutted there as he ejected through the front door. But here's the battle. You'll probably see them just the other side of those boards. But 28.5 minutes plus 2 to go. Early stages. We're on the opening lap here. Here's Herlings, 84, and Gajser. Gajser getting good drive, but see how the lines just mix and match. Advantage given and lost as they make their way down towards the final corner. And then a big jump out of there. Not seeing that, actually. Everyone else trying to scrub the way. That's where Toner's cracked in the qualifying race yesterday.
Yeah, you figure he must have been wide, went wide in that corner before to get a run there, but didn't look all that fast because he had Seewer right up on him coming up to the finish line jump.
So Coldenhoff, your leader. Seewer 2nd. Herlings 3rd. Gajser is in 4th place there in the fluorescent colours. The 41 and the 27 of Jonas Jasikonis there next. Monticelli, Van Horik, Paulin in 9th position. Tixier 10, Bogas 11, Petrov 12, Leok, Renkens. And then we have the Thai rider, Cheyenne Rompan in 15th place.
I think we're going to see Seewer give it everything he's got. He's got a 43-point edge on Paulin, and he said yesterday he's not really worried about the championship because he feels like he's got that secure. So,
and he's yet to win a race in MXGP.
Absolutely. Here's his opportunity right here.
Obviously, there's a lot of, like I say, people with wanting those bragging rights going into the 2nd race, coming away from this MXGP of China, also going into the Motocross Nations in a couple of weeks' time at Assen, the big final race of the year.
I don't think Jeffrey Herlings would be the rider he'd want behind him if he had a rear view mirror, but he's got to worry about Coldenhoff in front of him at the moment.
Well, AJ just taking a couple of laps to get settled. There's Monticelli just behind him in 7th, so again, another good start for the standing construct KTM boys. There's Paulin over on the right-hand side, just behind Van Horik on the Honda SR Moto Blues machine. Got a feeling this one's not going to get too spread out. Might be a little bit processional in the beginning where riders just kind of struggle to make their minds up on their race lines around here, but it is starting to chew up just nicely now.
A little bit, yeah, the trucks, but comparatively to one of the European rounds of the championship, it's much smoother, and the lap times are very similar. They're running 43s and 44s at the moment, so might make for a great battle, though, all the way to the finish.
Gajser up on the pegs. Difficult qualifying race yesterday, 2 slips. One whilst leading, of course. Bit of an overjump there from one of the Huskies as they came in to land, but Seewer, nothing in it. But it was Coldenhoff with the fastest lap on that opening lap, a 1:45.0. Seewer just 0.8 down at the end of that lap as they hit the line.
What more can you say about Glenn, though, lately? Just
the guy is being on fire. He's just, got himself up into 4th in the championship, knocking on the door for 3rd. 4 podiums the last 4 rounds, a 3rd in Belgium, 2 wins in Italy and Sweden, 2nd last week in Turkey. Is he looking at another Grand Prix victory and 3rd overall in the championship this weekend? I mean, if it stays like this, he's 1 point ahead of Paulin. Paulin in 8th position in the race. Coldenhoff leading the way at the moment.
Well, you just wonder what could have been. If he comes out of Motocross of Nations last year and stays healthy, and this is the form he was on, we may be looking at a new world champion. It wasn't meant to be, obviously. Tim Gajser earned the championship, but that's good things to come for him, at least.
But Jeremy Seewer definitely looking interested here. This is that sort of little step thing. I spoke to Jeremy Seewer about that yesterday. He said he followed Jasikonis over there, and he said he saw it, but he said he's tall. We mentioned that yesterday. Jasikonis is very tall, that part of the racetrack. He can ride it out. He says, for me, I'm just going to get picked over the handlebars if I come up short. So he said it's not a risk he was prepared to take.
Just an extra little margin of error there. And yeah, Seewer, he was definitely faster there than most riders were, but he's giving Coldenhoff everything he wants here. You know he's so motivated to get to the front.
And Jeremy Seewer goes around the outside final turn, but it's too wide around there. Gets the door shut in his face on the exit, so brief moment in front there for the number 91 of Jeremy Seewer, but as you say, final round, he's not thinking about 2nd in the championship. He knows he's pretty much got both hands on it barring any mistakes, and here he is, just the gloves are off, and he's just looking more relaxed out on the racetrack on that Monster Energy Yamaha, number 91 in second as he goes in pursuit of that standing control. Seewer pushing a little too hard. We said about the track, how it grabs you. Well, he picks himself up in fourth. Great recovery from the Swiss.
He's never been the most conservative anyway. You see him get kicked sideways there, kicks back the other way.
Caught a braking bump as he came into land as well, but unfortunately he was on opposite lock at 45 degrees, threw himself down the track, didn't want to let go though. Good recovery, but he's got a lot of work to do now. Coldenhoff is off the hook.
Yeah, that's what we call full send back in the States, but you gotta admit just the
full send.
The
that's not email. That's airmail.
Well, you can tell he wants to win, right? So he's willing to risk everything to go for the win.
Coldenhoff then gets a bit of a break, takes a look over his shoulder, wonders where the JS91 machine has gone. Well, he's been pushed down to fourth place. It's Herlings now in second, Gajser third. So we'll make our way towards the finish line in a few corners' time. The gap between first and third at the end of the second lap was 3.7 seconds between Coldenhoff and Herlings. Herlings now has clear track ahead of him. And once again, the two Dutches, just like we saw in Turkey a week ago in the qualifying race.
Yeah, my nightmares are flow. Seewer down again. May need to rein it back in a couple of % here if he wants to finish this race out.
So Jeremy Seewer then going from a challenge for the lead and drops out of fourth place. We'll see what he's at when he hits the line this time around. The gap 3.9, so a 45.2, 45.4. Fastest lap of the race for Tim Gajser a moment ago. Was Seewer though, well, the fastest lap is disappearing from previously, but 45.2, 45.4, 46.5 for Gajser. Jonas 47.0. So Coldenhoff holding his own over this guy here, number 84, the bullet, Jeffrey Herlings. As you think about the Monster Energy FIM Motocross of Nations, Jason Thomas from Fly Racing, and you're looking at these two guys on track now, obviously there are a whole host of nations, different countries taking part. Everyone chalking these guys up, Team Netherlands, as the favourites. We're still 2 weekends away from that. But what you're seeing right now, are you looking at another 1-1 from this guy?
I think deservedly so. I think Jeffrey will be the fastest in the sand there. I truly believe that. But my nightmares are already forming of these two running away from the field again. They're just on a different level than everybody. They have every single aspect of their game intact, and they're on home soil. So how do you not think that? And
also Jeffrey, you know, he a couple of races back and winning a GP already, and some people looking at that and going, wow, what could have been? There's that line from Jasikonis. It's Jonas doing it.
Yeah, I don't see how you get away from it. You know they're going to be fast in time qualification, which will put them on probably the inside gates for the race, and then their pace alone, it's just setting up nicely for the Dutch to have a legendary win on home soil.
41 pulls Jonas in fourth position at the moment. Jeremy Seewer picked himself up in sixth. I think he's gone back past Ivo Monticelli though. So he was in seventh, sorry. Now past Monticelli for sixth. Just needed to, like you say, rein it in after that one mistake. Obviously just trying too hard just to try and get things back on track.
Yeah, it's always that fine line of, you know,
coming back from all, look,
riding loose and going for it. But yeah, this track will jump up and bite you. It's so soft in a few sections that just over the edge a little bit, it'll make you pay for it.
So Jeremy Seewer, this is where he fell when he just got out of shape, but he's not scared, is he? He's not scared to hang it out.
That is certainly not the case.
Here's his second crash, actually. We just saw him picking himself up a moment ago. Into the right-hander, 2 corners from home. Front end got away from him, just pinned him down to the ground.
You just see him getting a little bit out of form, and that's just trying too hard. He's losing his technique, and those crashes are avoidable. It's just too much effort, which sounds weird, but you know, you're riding at maybe 105% where just mistakes are going to happen. You can't sustain a 35-minute race at that level.
I don't know, but he's got 2 Rockstar Energy Husqvarnas ahead of him, the 41 and the 27 of Jonas and Jasikonis, as he's looking to get back inside the top 4 if he can find his way past these two. 20 minutes plus 2 laps on the clock, and Gajser is not that far ahead either. Just there, look. AJ not able to get there. You see perfectly illustrated. He came up short and had to sort of pull up on the front end and almost ride out of that, wheelie out of it.
Yeah.
Heavy landing though.
Jonas executed it pretty well in front of him, which is probably upset AJ. That's the line he kind of invented. But just love to see the creativity out of these guys and take some chances. See, we're back in this.
Not. Who's there?
He's definitely high on the entertainment factor for this moto.
Oh, he is. Anyway, here's your race leader, Glenn Coldenhoff. Oh, and Jeffrey Herlings has come out to play as well. A 45.9 compared to a 46.7.
You see the polar opposite of that in Glenn Coldenhoff. It really hasn't put a wheel wrong in this entire moto.
2.3 seconds a gap between your first two. Gajser 5.2 off of the lead at 46.0, so only about a tenth slower than Herlings. But Jonas, what, 3/4 a second. Jasikonis pretty much the same as Gajser. Seewer in the 45, so matching Herlings' time. In fact, quicker by 0.6, 45.3 that time around. So the quickest inside the top 6 on lap number 6 for Jeremy Seewer.
We just need to have a Seewer cam that follows him around the track the entire moto.
Glenn Coldenhoff got off to a fantastic start. Got through the first turn and over the line first, ahead of everybody else. And he's getting comfortable leading up front.
He reminds me a bit of Prado. They just don't look like they're trying all that hard, but then you look up and you look at the times and you look at where they're finishing on the track.
Oh, nicely done. Seewer puts the squeeze on AJ as he comes into land. So Seewer goes from 6th to 5th. Good move that. Well, that crash that he had hasn't dented his confidence any, has it, Jason Thomas?
No, and this isn't over yet. He's 10 seconds down, but to get back into the mix for at least the podium here isn't out of the question.
Well, he's broken one of the Husqvarnas ahead of him. He's got Jonas just around the corner, and obviously those two were fighting for the MX2 World Championship in 2017. Jonas went out on that one. Seewer was second. That was at the final round at Villars-Suzerain. The MXGP at Pays de Montbéliard. What was a mudfest, actually.
But for Seewer, you know, his main rival behind him would be Paul for the championship.
Yeah, Paul in ninth.
He's got great health insurance. Might as well go for it. Take a chance. Get up front.
17.5 to go. Coldenhoff, Herlings, Gajser, Jonas, and Seewer. Quickest by 0.8 that time over the guy he's chasing down. Championship as it stands at the moment. Coldenhoff is third on 5.13. Paulin on 5.12. And Paulin in 8th place in the race. So as it stands right now, Coldenhoff is picking up a bronze medal. And he was very second-hand and detuned coming into the start of the season after his winter lack of preparation because of those that crash and those injuries. So to come back and get himself inside the top 3 and challenging certainly for that medal here at the final round is pretty sensational.
It is. That's. I mean, he's done literally everything he could possibly do towards the latter end of the season. Winning races, never off the podium, winning here again.
Jeffrey Herlings, take a look over his shoulder there, or down to the left side of the bike as he came over that jump just before that right-hander over the city jump. Can't think that he's looking back for Gajser because 5.3. It definitely looked like Herlings looked down there. Not sure why. Hopefully he hasn't got a problem because looked like a moment ago he was going to start closing in on this guy. And Coldenhoff needs a favour from his fellow countryman right now, because if he does go through and take the lead, that hands third place back in the championship to Gauthier Paulin. So
I love watching that dynamic between these two in general, because honestly, Coldenhoff's lived in the shadow of Jeffrey Herlings most of his career. I mean, Herlings has always been arguably the fastest man on the planet, and for Coldenhoff now, this is his time. You know, last October, as we talked about, you see Herlings make another gesture, maybe arm pump there, maybe hand going to sleep. Something's going on there.
Yeah. So maybe on the city jump, just a lap ago, half a lap ago, he, maybe something going on, something not right. Gajser will see that as well, maybe. Might just allow him to hit second gear and go after the bullet. And this is also an interesting dynamic, isn't it? You know, Herlings versus Gajser. Gajser's already won a championship. Herlings won it last year. Herlings trying to ride himself back into fitness. Gajser can kind of just measure everything and all the rest of it, but both of them are champions, both of them are race winners, and both of them want to outsmart the other one. But look at Jeremy Seewer all over the back of Paul Jonas now as he looks to challenge for 4th place.
Well, I think going back to the Gajser Herlings, I think Jeffrey looks at this championship as Tim won because I wasn't there. And I don't think Tim wants to hear anything about that.
No.
So.
And everyone else will say, well, you've got to be in it to win it.
Absolutely.
And those who line up, you know.
Yeah, it's always mental games going on. You see Seewer going for it again.
Yeah, he's looking good at the moment.
If he doesn't get a trophy, I may try to find a trophy to give him one today, because
the Hard Charger
Award. It's been incredible.
Paul Jonas read that well. He made sure that Seewer locked up on the brakes and still couldn't get across. He looks across at his old title rival from a couple of years ago in MX2 and gets over that step up. Seewer saying yesterday, not one of those places that he was prepared to take a risk and make a mistake. So just gives a couple of yards back to the Latvian.
Might be
to the inside.
Might be the only place on the track he's not willing to take a risk at the moment, but we'll see. Maybe he goes for it.
As we said, definitely not scared and definitely got full determination written all over him. Goes to that outside again and choosing not to follow, which is cool to see as well. He could have just gone inside with Jonas there, but chose not to. So 8 laps in the books. Coldenhoff and Herling separated by 2.3 seconds. Gajser just a little bit further back. Jonas and Seewer here in 4th and 5th. And again, well, we saw this, didn't we? Deja vu as he tried to go around the outside. Was it Herlings at the start? Sorry, was it for the lead? I think it was, wasn't it, on Coldenhoff when he launched himself into oblivion. Hard on the brakes at the end of that straight. Oh, that's a deep hole. That was deep there yesterday, deep and boggy. Anyway, what's this one? This was riding a little bit loose there. Having a word with his goggle sponsor. Right, here's Gauthier Paulin, 21. Montreux Wilvo Yamaha. He's found his way past Jeremy Van Horbeek. He's up into 7th place. They're tied on points now, Coldenhoff and Paulin, as a result of that, but Coldenhoff has it on race wins. And that's how it will be decided if they do tie on 3rd. Anyway, Seewer back alongside Jonas. Is he going to force his way up the inside here? He has to jump long. Strange corner that, isn't it? You want to get on the gas. It almost invites you to get on, but just continues to keep coming round to the left, and then you've got those big deep ruts. He goes inside again. Can't quite get the power down. Will he go to the outside here this time? Another deep rut. Good ride though, this from Jonas. Rockstar Energy Husqvarna not buckling under the pressure. But he hits a nice deep patch there as they get ready to go down past pit lane, but manages to stay a couple of bike lengths ahead of the Swiss rider.
Yeah, you feel like this is just a matter of time, but Jonas doesn't seem to care. He's not going to give up the position.
Get ready to go again. The story of his race so far.
The most difficult part here for Seewer is there's only one really good line, and you see him trying inside and outside. It's just a little bit slower. He's going to get a drive down here.
He's got him. Gets good drive. Got to stay out of that way.
Nice move there.
Almost out of the seat there as he made it happen as well on the exit. But Jeremy Seewer then up into 4th place. There was a back marker just ahead of him as they came over that first double, and I wasn't sure the, sort of like the trajectory that he had, sort of like looking down the track, is he close enough? And I was like, oh, is he going to land on him? But obviously that gap was a little bit further than I thought it was.
I would doubt Seewer knew it either, to be honest with you.
You know what? They've done a good job of the track here.
It's a great job. I don't think anybody really knew what to expect fully, and I've been pleasantly surprised.
2.4 seconds the gap between Coldenhoff and Herlings at the end of lap 9. We're on lap 10. There is the 84, and you just saw flashing out of sight there, Coldenhoff. So maybe that gap just going out a little bit, a couple of tenths here or there.
It's hanging in there, 2.5 seconds, no big deal. You just wonder if it's a repeat of Turkey where just hanging around, waiting, and then he's going to blitz him here at the end. I haven't really seen any sort of, elite level pace where he can just reel Coldenhoff in, but you never know with Jeffrey Herlings. He's, that sort of talent. You never really want to rule anything out.
3.3 seconds the gap. About 2.1 behind is Gajser.
Good lap there from Coldenhoff, stretching out another full second.
Yeah, 46.4 compared to 47.3 of Herlings, 46.5 of Gajser. So all of a sudden, Gajser can see Herlings coming back towards him. This is going to get tactical, isn't it? 10 minutes plus 2 to go. One of these two in a minute is going to sort of bite the bullet and just go for it.
Yeah, you wonder how on the edge they are right now. Do they have anything left in the tank? I don't think they want to show their cards fully yet with 10 plus 2 to go.
Qualifying race lap yesterday was a 1:44.0. Jeffrey Herlings on the final lap. Lap time then was a 46.4 from Coldenhoff, and the fastest lap of the race was a 44.2. Jeremy Seewer on lap 2 before he hit the eject button. So they're a couple of 3 seconds off, or sorry, yeah, about 2 seconds off of what has been the fastest lap in this race, but is there still room, though, for a little bit more?
You don't want to say they're pacing themselves, because that's not really a fair assessment, but it's not, you know, if it's a scale of 1 to 10, they're probably at a 9.5. They have a little bit left in the tank. They could go full Seewer mode, if you will. But I just don't think it's time yet. If they want to show their cards, it's not quite there.
And you've got Coldenhoff out front, who's doing a fantastic job leading on that standing construct KTM. At some point, this guy here, Tim Gajser, is going to go, right, I'm going to catch Jeffrey unawares. Jeffrey looks over his shoulder and says, all right, Tim's made his move. I need to make mine.
Yeah.
When that happens, what's Coldenhoff got left in the tank?
I think they're all holding a little bit back.
Yeah.
You know, when will they pull the pin? Who goes first and when? I think they're all sizing each other up and kind of hanging out. They're all comfortable at the moment. Maybe Gajser would be a little bit more under pressure.
2.3 though the gap. Coldenhoff was being caught by Jeffrey Herlings. Coldenhoff a 46.05. Herlings a 44.9. Gajser 45.2.
You also wonder if Jeffrey wants to stay out of the roost too. If he doesn't feel like he can go make a pass at the moment, you don't want to be right on the rear wheel, because all you end up doing is eating Chinese dirt.
Yeah.
So they all just seem like they're kind of, you just see no urgency there, right? He's cruising up over the mound. If he was really trying to push the pace, there would be no coasting whatsoever.
Yeah, he looks relaxed actually, Gajser.
Yeah. Those are all telltale signs of nothing too crazy yet. May have a little bit more under the hood that you're waiting around to show.
It's not 2.3.
No, I think it was a big lap, that last lap from Jeffrey, to drop it back down into a 144.9. I don't think he wanted to lose that full second, so he needed to reel that back in. And it also puts a little bit more pressure on Glenn to say, hey, you're not going to pull away and make this thing easy.
Second sector, 27.3, 26.9, Coldenhoff Herlings, 26.0 for Gajser. So a full 1.3 seconds quicker, Gajser over Coldenhoff on that one sector alone.
See Jeffrey look back there just to see where Tim was at. There's so much just marking and assessing going on. They know how much time's left, and it's just going to slowly ramp up, just like what a qualifying session would do. The intensity and the urgency is going to slowly ramp up into these last few laps.
I suppose a lot of people came to this track yesterday and thought it had JH name all over it when it was soft and loamy and everything, but struggled in free practice and time practice. Kind of put it together on the final lap of the qualifying race and set the fastest lap. But here's Coldenhoff. Has he realised the danger? 46.4, good lap. 45.8 Herlings, 45.2 Gajser. So he is the one that's starting to show his hand first.
Yeah, curious weekend for Herlings. We say that as he's running around in second here.
Yeah, a bit of a kick there, nothing too untoward. Strange part of the racetrack there, those two big rollers at the end. You can't, well, three, you can't jump them, you almost have to slam into them.
It's been soft going into that next left all weekend. It's been the same exact situation. It hasn't hardened up, it hasn't dried out. Same with this section here. Just big rollers, and then a lot of times they want to double here, which you saw Gajser do there.
Running out of time, 6:20 on the clock, plus 2 laps. Coldenhoff has led every single lap of this first MXGP race here. The Just1 Helmets MXGP of China, presented by Huhui Investment Group. Herlings is right there in second. The gap as they hit the line was 1.7. Gajser has gone from 4 point something to 3.5 as he closes in third.
You see that urgency a little bit there, revving in the air, just pushing the pace a little bit more and more. Where he was coasting a lap or two ago, seems like they can start to feel the timer going away, and he knows to get both of them, he's going to have to go now. So the most curious to see what will be the response be from Coldenhoff, as you said. They're both going to be pushing up to him. Does he have anything left? Can he go into the 144s and maybe seal this event? And
we've already seen this track, by Jeremy Seewer when he was challenging Coldenhoff for the lead early on lap 3, and it's that. This is also in the back of their minds a little bit. We can ride this track, we can push, but trying to push the qualifying lap for a 35-minute race, you're going to be on the edge there.
Yeah, you've only got so many of those laps left in you. So, like I said, it's not necessarily pacing yourself, but it's finding a rhythm that you can sustain, and then every once in a while throw in that heater sprint lap to try to close the gap down.
Gap still 1.7. 3.4 between first, second, first and third. Gajser is definitely closing though. He's got Herlings right in his sights here. He's going to show him a front wheel in a moment. Herlings looking for different lines. Oh, this has been an impressive ride from Gajser. He just sat back there, hasn't he, patiently, just biding his time. There's Coldenhoff just ahead of him. All of a sudden, you know what, I reckon these are less than 3 seconds apart now, the top three, at this part of the racetrack.
Yeah, it's closing down. This is how you draw it up. And Gajser's really been the one pushing the pace here. Nothing crazy. He looks calm, he looks smooth, but just methodically closing down the gap to Jeffrey, which is in turn pushing him up to Glenn Coldenhoff.
Meanwhile, in 4th place, Jeremy Seewer, Monster Energy Yamaha. Jonas in 5th, ahead of his Rockstar Energy Husqvarna factory racing teammate. Van Horwijk for Yamaha Motor Blues, Honda SR Motor Blues. Paulin is next for Monster Energy Volvo Yamaha in 8th. Tixier 9 for VHR KTM. Monticelli on the standing construct. KTM is in 10th. Brian Bogus is 11th. The A1M Husqvarna of Tano Leok is 12. Renkins on the NR83 Racing. KTM is 13th. Head of North Europe. KTM of Petrov in 14th. And in Cheyenne Rompan. Then Majadi Nakane, Zhang Yao Zhu, Francesco Galligari, Lian Sung Deng, and Tian Wen Peng. The gap between Coldenhoff and Paulin in the championship. Coldenhoff on 5.13, Paulin 5.12. By virtue of the fact that Coldenhoff leads this race. A moment ago it was 1.7. It's now 0.9 of a second between the lead Dutch rider in this one. Coming towards us now on that standing construct KTM. Herlings is right there. 2.5 between the top three now with 3.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's a clear signal there. You know, this dynamic has changed where Glenn had a little bit of a gap. You see Jeffrey screw that turn up again. That's 2 laps in a row where he's made a mistake there. But the way it was, Glenn is now going to be able to hear Jeffrey in every corner. And that changes so much of the psyche. Before, where you just had that nice, calm silence, now you're going to hear Jeffrey's, Red Bull KTM 450 in every corner.
Change of tack there from Gajser. Couldn't go triple, so he went double single. It's almost as quick. But we've got back marker traffic coming into this, 3 minutes to go. Herlings is almost alongside Coldenhoff as they came over that step down into that left-hander.
You just see little mistakes here and there. They're definitely pushing where they were calm before and virtually no mistakes or just small mistakes everywhere. And that's just indicative of the urgency and the pace that they're pushing now.
Just turning it up, and good to see a three-way battle for the lead here.
Yeah, you wonder, man, it's anybody's guess how this is going to turn out. We saw what happened in Turkey last week where Jeffrey just pulls the pin with a lap to go and takes the lead. I don't know that he has that form this weekend. He really hasn't shown it yet, but I want to see Gajser get up there and make this interesting.
Say Jeffrey Herlings made 1 or 2 little mistakes in turn 2, like the back end lighting up. He couldn't get over that double the second time on this lap. That allowed Gajser to close up, but then he couldn't get over the triple. Then we had a couple of back markers, so all of a sudden, that's where you need to be a calm mind, isn't it? Dealing with everything coming at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour, lap traffic, the rider making a mistake in front of you, all of that kind of thing. Gajser, now, again, 2.5 seconds between the top 3.
This has been a critical section for Herlings. He screwed this up 2 laps in a row. And what I see is he just tries to get out of the main line. He's trying to cut out of corners, and he's spinning up. He's losing traction. So this is the corner here where he's been making a mistake. You see again, he's cutting under that corner and just not getting as good of a drive. That one wasn't quite as bad, but it's just curious. It's curious. He's usually one that kind of will use the traction that's available. It just more speaks to the level of discomfort we've seen from him all weekend.
This is heavy. Coming out of that turn, you see that first of those 2 rollers. All those ruts, very grabby, very deep. A lot of hidden stuff in there as well, like maybe a bit of an edge or something like that. But 10 out of 10 for Coldenhoff, though. He has dealt with this pressure, this onslaught from these guys. They've not got close enough yet to real challenge. Herlings lights at the back end again.
That's where we saw Jago Geertz go down yesterday in the qualifying race. So.
He said it was because of a stone.
Yeah, where we were seeing 0 mistakes, maybe 3 or 4 laps ago. Even there, Coldenhoff makes a mistake. There's nothing more evident to show that these guys are actually pushing now than the mistakes they're making nearly in every corner.
Yeah. Just the ground. The ground is strange, isn't it? It's spongy in places. It's loose. It's that mixture of sand and dirt, still wet, very spongy, and you just see the way that the bikes are behaving when we just went on a wide shot there a moment ago. So much movement, front and back.
Seems hard to predict, right? If the tire's going to grab or if it's going to push.
5 seconds on the clock. They're coming up to the finish line now. And he hits, that's still 3 laps to go. They went through with about a second to spare.
Can't get any closer than that. And that's horrible news for Glenn Coldenhoff.
Good news for Glenn Coldenhoff, for Jeffrey Herlings and Tim Gajser, though, because they now have 3 laps in which to try and inflict a defeat on the 259 on that standing construct KTM, who's done a fantastic job of leading right from the very first lap here in race 1. MXGP opens up a nice gap there as well. He's good through the first 2 or 3 corners, isn't he, Coldenhoff? And these guys catch him up at the end of the lap.
It's a really weak area for Herlings. He didn't even mess the corner up that lap, and he still lost time. So that's going to be an area he's have to work on for race 2.
Coldenhoff not getting the distance through those 2 rollers there, and like these 2. Again, see how they're going down to the hard pack base now, aren't they? Coming out of those corners. A nice shiny line starting to appear. Catching Herlings out a little bit, but some big old gnarly braking bumps now. This track is, you know what, I'm actually quite impressed with it. The way that it's riding and the way that it's cutting out. And, you know, it's not like a balls to the wall kind of race. It's starting to just churn up nicely.
I think it's great. You're talking about a brand new racetrack. Most tracks on the circuit have had years of revisions and improvements. This is their first shot at it. I'm more than impressed.
So, coming into the penultimate lap, any moment now. It must have been a second before, because obviously the timing beam isn't on the very top of the jump. It's pretty much either at the base or halfway up the base, the jump, as close to the top as possible. The riders are aware of that as well, by the way.
Yeah, curious to see this lap time from Glenn. It looks like he's pulled some back out, which would be really, really impressive to be able to go here with 3 laps to go.
So 2 to go. He goes from a 46 to a 47 to a 46.5, a full second. So 1.8 as he goes into the penultimate lap then. Good lap from Coldenhoff. Herlings and Gajser losing ground that time around. That gap goes back out to 3.8 to Gajser in 3rd.
Really impressive. Just kind of a volley back. You know, these guys have been closing down, and Coldenhoff's the one that ups the pace there.
He's answered the question we asked earlier. Okay, he's still got 2 to go. But how will he react when they get onto his rear wheel? Well, the answer there is he's gone to 1.8, and he puts a full second between himself and Jeffrey Herlings there in 2nd.
I think it just speaks to his confidence level. He's been at the front for nearly a month now, so I think that's just weighed in where he doesn't fear these guys.
Yeah.
He feels comfortable at the front, and he knows he's supposed to be winning now.
Still think there might be 1 or 2 stings, 1 twist or 2, maybe, in this final lap and a bit, or not.
They're going to have to close it down. If they leave the gap here to 2 or 3 seconds, Glenn will be able to take his chosen line. He won't be able to hear them in every corner. That just makes life so much easier.
Here is your race leader, Glenn Coldenhoff. Entered this penultimate lap with a 1.8 second advantage over Jeffrey Herlings. That gap might be creeping out a little bit more. I think it is.
Yeah, really impressive stuff here from Coldenhoff.
And Gajser hasn't been able to go with him either. With Jeffrey, you know, capitalize on the mistakes that Jeffrey Herlings made.
It just seemed like Jeffrey and Tim both gave it everything they had with maybe 3 or 4 laps to go. And Glenn was able to withstand it, and then now he has the pace.
So 46.5 last time around for Coldenhoff, 47.08, 47.4, 46.6. So Gajser, the man closing in on Herlings. But that gap between 1st and 2nd, crucially, as we go into the final lap, 2.1 seconds between Coldenhoff and his fellow countryman. Great roar from the crowd as Coldenhoff goes by for the final time here, MXGP Race 1. Just needs to stay focused. Well, there's not been anything wrong with his focus this last couple of weeks, but Herlings might be making one last push here, you know. Still can't call it though, can we?
That's been a really good section for Jeffrey throughout this moto, but it's going to be a little bit too late here. Glenn's, got to have a second, but Tim's making a last-minute run here as well.
Yeah, he would love to just take that 2nd place away from this guy. There's no way he'll let that happen, though, will he?
Can't imagine. It's going to take something like this line here that Jonas was doing. Surprised that none of these guys have actually tried it. It's a great
3 or
line
4
there
corners
from
to go.
Yeah, it's a really nice inside line there from Coldenhoff.
He's just been calm and measured the whole race.
His mid-corner speed is really impressive. He's off the gas, off the brakes, and just letting the bike flow through the middle of the corner.
2 corners to go. Glenn Coldenhoff has ridden the perfect race here. Back end just steps out of line there, those who say that. And he's got a run here from Jeffrey Herlings on the way down to the finish line, who has a fantastic final lap, Jeffrey Herlings, but the flag goes out. Glenn Coldenhoff wins race 1 here, Herlings second, and the gap between them, again, 0.8 of a second. And Tim Gajser crosses the line third, 2.2 seconds off the lead. A real game of chess, a real game of cat and mouse. Here's Jeremy Seewer. Well, if he can keep it on 2 wheels in race 2 and have that same kind of sense of urgency, just toned back a little bit, so he minimises those mistakes. Maybe we're going to see a 4-way challenge for the lead, and maybe he can get to win the final race of the year.
If you put Seewer into that mix, I'm going to need some calming agent for the second race.
Oh, we'll sedate you, don't worry. Anyway, Glenn Coldenhoff wins MXGP race 1 here. The Just1 Helmets MXGP of China, presented by Huhui Investment Group. And what a great race that was as well. Had a bit of everything. Had tension, had drama, had crashes, and kind of over-exuberance at times, but good, calm, measured racing from your race winner. And Glenn Coldenhoff moves himself up to 3rd in the championship as well as a result of that race 1. And Coldenhoff now with 4 race wins this year. And hopefully he's getting ready to speak to Lisa Leyland, who should be down there in the winner's zone. And right on cue, here is Miss Leyland with Mr. Coldenhoff.
Glenn Coldenhoff, congratulations. You took the foxhole shot, you led every lap, you handled the pressure well from Jeffrey, but more importantly, you now moved up to 3rd in the championship standings. Yeah,
it was not a great motor, you know. I'm so pumped. I knew yesterday that I need to have a good gate pick and pull the whole shot, stay consistent, and manage to hold off Jeffrey and Tim. So it was an amazing race.
Good luck for the second race. Thank you.
Great race from Glenn Coldenhoff. Led every single one of those 19 laps. And he didn't even look flustered, Jason Thomas.
He did not. Steady Eddie. It was just that kind of race, and more of the same. I don't know where this level has come from, but unbelievable. Great to see.
I wonder whether they've made some settings, you know, because, you know, you get to a point where, let's say before Belgium, where he got on the podium 3rd, he was 10th in Czech Republic, 7th, 5th, 4th, the previous Grand Prix, 8th, 9th, 8th. He was still working his way into contention as we look at the official confirmation. Coldenhoff winning race 1, Herlings 2nd, Gajser 3rd, Seewer, Jonas, Jasikonis, Van Horbik, Paulin 8th, losing 3rd in the championship at the moment by a point to Glenn Coldenhoff, your race winner. And then in 9th place, Jordi Tixier, Ivo Monticelli 10, Brian Bogers 11, Tano Leuk 12, Petrov Renkins, Cheyenne Rompan, then we had Zhu, Nakpan, Galigari, Deng, and Peng.
Big battle there between Deng and Peng for 19th and 20th.
So, take a look at the highlights, and we'll talk more over the best moments in a couple of minutes. Right, MXGP race highlights coming up now. Glenn Coldenhoff with his 4th foxhole shot over on the left-hand side. He held a tighter line as Gajser ran it wide. He went the long way round. Tried to come out in 2nd. I think he did just about hang on, didn't he? Just ahead of Seewer, who emerged the other side of there. Seewer was in 2nd. Herlings 3rd, Gajser 4th, Jonas was in 5th, ahead of Jasikonis in 6th place. As these guys try to sort themselves out. Herlings did eventually get back into 3rd, though, despite Gajser being ahead of him at this point. Paulin was just a couple of positions behind Van Horbik, and then this was the first big moment of the race. Challenging Coldenhoff for the lead. Seewer ended up going airmail on him. Picked himself up in 4th. Less than a lap later, Jeremy Seewer was down again in this corner. Just there, closing back in on Herlings. Just needed to calm it down a little bit at that point. He picked himself up, regrouped, and eventually came home in 4th position. Good ride through the field. Had to clear Ivo Monticelli first, though. Monticelli eventually came in 10th place for standing construct. This was a nice move on Jasikonis that Seewer managed to do there. That put him up into 6th place, I think, at the time. Then he went after Paul's Jonas. Yeah, this was for 4th, actually. Good move. Good hard charge through the field. Give him a good start in race number 2. Let's see what he can do. The top 3, though, were very close together. 2.2 seconds going into the final couple of laps, Jason.
Yeah, it was almost a battle that never really formed. There was so much potential here for an incredible battle, and still a great race. They just never really were able to make a pass. See Coldenhoff coming up to the finish here.
Yeah, he managed to hang on less than a second in it between him and Herlings. Gajser, 2.2 seconds off the lead. One more of those, please. Will do nicely for the final race of the year.
Yeah, I would love to sprinkle some Seewer in there.
Seewer would love to sprinkle some Seewer in there.
Pouring gasoline onto a fire there.
Right, a little bit of track maintenance, getting rid of some of those ruts, and I hope they don't do the whole track, you know, and just kind of leave it technical in places. Yes, start straight first corner, but some of those areas were technical and challenging, and that's what the riders need. You start fluffing it over, you know, it just becomes just too diluted, and I'd hate to see that for the final race of the year. Anyway, foxhole shot. Glenn Coldenhoff for the 4th time this year, the standing construct KTM.
Pretty decisive there.
Good job, and he'll just go back and get himself sorted. Of course, that was immediately after the post-race interview, so not now as we're seeing it live, of course.
He looked a little bit less labored than Tom Bial did, I have to say.
Yeah. So Cairoli on 8. He could still pick up that, you know, but if Gajser takes the foxhole shot in the last race, then it goes to Tim Gajser. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the best moments, shall we, from that first race. Right, Jason Thomas, you and I, we're going to talk more about that. The changes that potentially this guy has made, because I can only assume they've had some setup changes, either more help from either the suspension on the factory side or engines on the factory side, because Jeffrey Herlings wasn't around, Cairoli went out injured. They need somebody to be up front challenging Gajser for the championship. That's feasible.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just that or is it finally back to full health and full form from last year. Regardless of whatever the case is, he is absolutely a championship contender now. There's no other way to look at it.
But whatever has happened, you know, whether it's him upping his game or getting a bit more support from Austria, that's a killer combination.
Yeah, I have to just admit I was wrong. I did not see this level from him. The Red Bud race last year, we saw Jonas there make a big mistake. But going into a full season next year, I think, what, 4 or 5 championship contenders? It's really impressive.
Best moments from MXGP Race 1. We're going to take a break. Join us in just over an hour's time on MXGP TV for MX2 Race 2 and the final race of the year, MXGP Race 2. From this Just One Helmets MXGP of China, presented by Huhui Investment Group. Jason and I will see you shortly.